Now, anybody been through something and then you changed and you found a way to love yourself? By show of hands. You found a way to love yourself. Got a sister right here. Now, you single, married?
I'm single. Divorced.
And did he file divorce or you file divorce?
I did.
And what made you file divorce?
A lot of things. It came down to a matter of life and death. And I just said, I want to live. And from that point, I started to change. And it's been a journey. It's been like what, 10 years more now. And like I learn something new every day. And you just keep adding things until you're that person. You work on yourself and you do all the things that you didn't do before because you didn't know who you were. Things like that. So, it's been a journey, but it's been good. And I've been praying and asking God, just to, am I ready for another relationship? And just to send me a godly man who will love me the way I deserve to be loved.
Are you happy single?
Yeah, I'm happy. I'm doing things that I've always wanted to do, and I'm working in a calling that I never thought I would be doing, but I am, and kind of like you. But now I'm to the point where I feel like there's something missing. So yeah, I'm happy, but there's that little piece that's still missing. I'm lonely.
That's good. That's honest. I thank you for that. Anybody else single and happy and working? What about this? Married folks? We got any married? Y'all married? How long you been married?
Just over a year.
Over a year? Okay. So since July. Now in the marriage, have you learned anything in the marriage yet? Some things that you have to work on?
Communications.
And more so, you communicating or her communicating?
Both. Both of us.
Now, when you looked at yourself and you looked in that mirror and you say, you know what do I need to work on? What was the number one thing that you feel you're working on yourself?
Trying not to always, I was single for so long, so before I got married, before we got married. So it was difficult having someone else around. So where when you're by yourself, you make all the decisions, you do things your way, but now you have to change because you have a wife now and you have to get her input and just a whole different ball game now.
Different ball. Hey, happy wife, happy life. Now, what about you? What's some things that you learning about yourself and relationships since you've been married?
Quite a few things. Because I've always been really quiet, and I'm just learning to be trying to be more outspoken and reveal how I really feel about things.
That's powerful. That's powerful. And that's good as a woman to have that space. Now, see, after you heal and after you deal and after you begin to love yourself, now here's the next thing is that we have a breakdown in what we understand about the opposite sex. We don't understand, so we come and we trying to have a relationship, but we don't know how to relate. So you can't have a relationship if you don't understand how to relate. Now, how many ladies in here, you sat down with a man who, like a family member, and he told you everything there is to know about a man? You see, so now how many fellas you sat down with a woman like a family member and she told you everything there is to know about a woman? You see there? That's what happens, is that we haven't had that dialogue. So we don't know what we're looking for. And one thing that I see is this breakdown. Now I'll speak to the men first. I'll speak to the men. Fellas, what we have to learn, and we have enough men in here to change the culture in Bermuda, and then even extend beyond Bermuda and start to affect change in the world, if you're bold enough. But fellas, what we have to understand is that our strength is in our gentleness. Our strength is in our gentleness, because we have been taught to just be manly and to be demanding and to be controlling. We have to realize that we get more done when we are able to communicate in a room tone with an understanding attitude. We also have to understand what leadership is. Leadership is not dictatorship. That if you want to lead a woman, you have to lead with love. You lead with service. So you don't tell her what to do, you show her what to do by doing it first yourself. So if you want her to treat you like a king, then you have to treat her like a queen. And see, I realized this because I wanted to be loved and I wanted some treatment, but I wasn't giving anything to my wife. I wanted to make love to her body, but I didn't take the time to make love to her mind. But when I realized when I took the time to make love to her mind, meaning sitting and talking to her and listening to what she wanted to talk about and hearing her, then she wanted her body to be mine. See, man, we have to understand what it is to be a man. Being a man is taking care of home, but not just taking care of home financially, but taking care of home emotionally and spiritually. We have to realize that being a man means loving one woman with all of our heart and being 100% faithful to that one woman. Now, how many of you fellas want some money? You want to be rich? Everybody. Because men, that's what we think about. And a lot of times we equate our self-worth with our net worth. Now, I don't like to talk about money, especially in front of women. It don't mean the same to a woman as it does to a man. Women just don't understand it. But if I could talk to these fellas, I want to talk to you about this money. I was making $20,000 a year when I was juggling, when I was looking around, when I was focused on other things outside of my home. See, my attention was divided. When I was opening up, I wasn't cheating, but I was preparing to. I was open to it. If it would have presented itself, I probably would have taken advantage of the opportunity if it felt safe. And see, I was getting ready to, and it was two women that I got too close to. And see, I was allowing some things to come in. And I was 23, young and dumb and full of. And then when I got 25, after my wife, I had been working on myself, trying to do better, trying to be a better man. Then I had this change, and I realized that the good book says a man who finds a wife finds a good thing and receives favor from the Lord. Now, you could call it the universe, whatever you want to call it. But what that means is that when you are aligned and you're loving a woman the way she was created to be loved, you attract blessings to your life. You get more out of life. And so when I gave this one woman, my wife, all of my focus and all of my attention, guess what? All of that sexual energy that would go to watching other women and chasing other women, I put it into business. And I remember the first time I made $20,000 in a day. I went from making $20,000 a year to making $20,000 in a day. I went from one stream of income to 23 streams of income because I channeled my energies. So I gave my wife everything I could give her. And then anything else that I wanted to spread thin, I put it into business. And it changed my life. So I realized that loving one woman, being with one woman and being faithful to one woman, that's a man's rite of passage. Because that's the hardest thing for us to do. How many women you just cannot believe that it's so hard for a man to be faithful? Sometimes I say that. I say a man's rite of passage is loving a woman without lying, deceiving, lying, manipulating, or cheating. And that if a man can do that, he can do anything. And then I see women commenting, is it that hard? Is it that hard? Ladies, I need you to understand that it is that hard. I'll tell you today. Now, I could count on one hand how many faithful men that I've met. One hand. It's that hard. Now see, and it's that rare. So if you find that in a man and you got a man that he's faithful and you feel with everything in you that he's faithful, you got to protect that relationship. You got to respect that man. Now, this handful of men that I've met that have been faithful, one of them, because he had a stroke, remember, didn't work anymore. The other one, because he had no opportunity, he was looks challenged. So only the woman he was with would want him. I'm trying to think of another one. The other man, which I fell in this category, had found his purpose, had something that was bigger than him. So I lied. Those are the 3 men I met. I thought I had 5. But see, it's that hard. And so what happens is, ladies, when you're dealing with a man, you got to understand that they say a man has a sexual thought every 15 seconds. Now, he doesn't act on all of those sexual thoughts, especially when he's trying to rein himself in. But you got to understand the makeup of this man. So he's trying. So if you have a man that's trying and he's working, you work with him and then you meet him halfway. And I learned 3 things that a woman can do. And I put this in one of my books. I can't remember. But I say, for one is respect self. If you want to help a man be faithful to you, respect yourself. Because the more you let him curse you out, talk down to you, manipulate you, run over you, the easier it is for him to cheat. Because when you let a man take advantage of you, you become unattractive. You're no longer attractive to that man. He no longer likes you. He no longer respects you. So you have to respect self. They say men love bees. You know, curse word. I don't curse. They say men love bees, and that's not true. Because what they're calling a bee is a strong woman. Men love strong women. And they love strong women because we like a challenge. That's why we work hard and we grind hard and we hustle hard, because we like a challenge. So only what a man works for does he appreciate. So you got to respect self. Number 2 is you have to occupy time. So if you got a man, you got to set stuff up. You know his work schedule. When he off, you know when it's dinner time, you need to have a date night set up. You need to have a movie night set up. You need to have some talk time set up, some time with the kids. You got to occupy time. And then 3rd, you have to remain unpredictable. You have to remain unpredictable. Respect self, occupy time, remain unpredictable. When I say remain unpredictable, I mean that you have to love yourself enough so that you're always working on yourself as he's working on himself to be faithful and to be loyal to that household. Because see, what happens is one of those 3 things a woman doesn't do, and it leaves that room for this man to have an idle mind, which becomes the devil workshop. And so if you don't respect yourself, he loses respect and he starts looking for a woman who will respect herself. If you don't occupy time, then next thing you know, he's on the phone texting the woman he works with because you off doing your own thing. Then if you don't remain unpredictable, he gets bored with you. And see, ladies, I want you to understand that men, we just a little slower than you are. We're a little slower, so we get bored very easy. We get bored easy, and this don't mean you got to turn cartwheels and slide down a pole. But if it's just loving yourself and not getting comfortable, meaning that this is what my wife does, and she did this so naturally, and I didn't even know it, and I think she read it in my first book, What Daddy Never Told His Little Girl. And I wrote that book, and I put the game in there. I put the game in there. And she read that book, and I've been wrapped around her finger ever since. And I didn't realize why, but then I realized I gave away the whole game. But what she would do is, she occupied my time. We always had a date night, movie night, something to do. She respected herself. First time I tried to yell at her I'm thinking we finna have an argument. Yeah, this argument finna be good. And I get ready to yell, "You gonna listen to me?" And she say, "Don't talk to me like that." I was like, whoa, you're gonna stop me in my yelling? And then I went to keep yelling. She said, and she walked off. So I said, if she's strong enough to walk off, if I grab her, she's strong enough to call the police. I said, this is a bad woman here. So guess what? Okay, baby, all right, baby, okay, I'll talk. I'm ready to talk now. And then she turned around, okay, what is it? Right then, she taught me how to respect her. Right then, she taught me how to talk to her. Right then, that's why we don't have any arguments, because she wouldn't let me talk to her any way I wanted to talk to her. Now, if I yelled at her and she yelled back, then she just reinforced that behavior. Any behavior that's recognized and reinforced repeats itself. See, you teach a person how to treat you by how you treat yourself. So you set your standards, and then you don't let a person give you anything other than that, and things change. So she taught me that. And then she remained unpredictable. What I mean by that is, every so often, I say every 3 to 6 months, she'll do something different with her hair. She'll have a new hairstyle, or she might get a little couple highlights in it, or she'll do something different with her nails, or she'll wear a different type of clothing. You know, she go from the boyfriend look to the real chic, sexy look, and then it go to another look. So because she's experimenting with herself and she is trying new things, as a man, I never get bored. I'm looking, and every time I get to fall in love with a woman all over again. And see, that's what happens is sometimes we get in a relationship and we get complacent, men and women. But see, women, y'all have to realize that you think with both sides of your brain. A man only uses one. And so the emotional part of a woman's brain is much larger than that in a man's brain. So what that means is that your cognitive skills are greater. Your reasoning ability is greater. So you're able to look at a man and see that gut on him and fall in love with that gut. You know, I'm getting the gut on me. My wife, baby, you look good. And mean it. You're able to do that. See, as a man, we can't really reason like that. And we can't really rationalize, and it's a little tougher for us. And we go to look and we're like, man, baby, will you shave your legs? Is you gonna get that hair done anytime soon? And what about them cuticles? Can you get your hands done? And so we're looking, and the reason why is because we got all these visuals being thrown at us. All these visuals, all this media, and so the relationship breaks down. So you have to understand that. Now, in understanding one another, one of the largest things that I see that happens is our communication. And like this brother here said tonight, communication. I'm going to tell you what changed my relationship. And this was the communication. And we don't understand this. When you communicate, you should use I feel statements. I feel like you're not respecting me. I feel like I'm the only one pulling weight. I feel like when you use these I feel statements, it's totally different than saying, you don't do this, you don't do that, you're so sorry. I can't believe you. You're just so inconsiderate and you're so sorry. But it's totally different when you say, I feel like you don't respect me. Now, how does it sound when I say I feel like you don't respect me versus you so sorry and disrespectful. You ain't got no home training, just like your daddy. That's totally different. The next thing what happened was talking in room tone, meaning no yelling. How many of y'all yell in your relationship? You admit it. All that yelling. Guess what? Yelling is noise. When you yell, the other person shuts down. They don't hear anything you're saying. When you yell, it just sounds like, ah. And so at the end of it, nothing has been solved. So over the last 5 years, my wife, we have been sitting down and we've been having real conversations, and it's just room tone. And so you do no yelling, and the next thing is no cursing. How many of you curse when you get mad? That cursing is noise. And when you curse, everything shuts down. First curse word you say, they don't hear nothing else after that. It just, and then what happens is we stop listening. So the next thing is seek to understand, then be understood. Seek to understand, then be understood. So when I start talking to my wife, I used to just think about how I'm working, how I'm paying all the bills, how I'm doing all this. But then I listen to her and I hear her saying, you know, I need some affection. I need some attention. If you could just put the work down, you know, for 5 minutes and just talk to me. See, I started seeking to understand. And then I realized that affection was currency. And that me loving her and giving her that time and that attention meant just as much as me paying a bill. Because I was in the mindset that love don't pay bills. But what I realized is that that love paid her bills. And that she would be okay being in the dark with me if she had real love. But she don't want a mansion with no love. So when I began to seek to understand, see, when you seek to understand, you feel less of a need to be understood. Because see, what you do is you take and you look at life through their eyes, you put their shoes on and you walk a mile. See, when you take and you walk a mile in somebody else's shoes, you have a whole new respect for them. You want to get them shoes right back to them. You keep these, I'll wear mine. That's how life is. So when you seek to understand, then be understood, everything changes. Next thing we want to talk about is trust. If there is no trust, there is no relationship. If there is no trust, there is no relationship. I'm on the road, I'm traveling, and my wife, she trusts me. She does not blow my phone up. She don't bother me at all. Now, I could be thinking, well, what is she doing? Who keeping her happy? But I trust her. And I trust, and I asked, I said, babe, I'm on the road. You know, I could be doing anything. You know, why you don't worry? Why don't you question me and ask me, what am I doing after the seminar? And sometimes the seminar over and you already asleep. And I know we got a 7-year-old and we got an 8-month-old, so she pretty busy and she be ran ragged, she be tired. And sometimes she'll be asleep. When I'm used to, you know, coaching women, I'm used to women, when the man gone, she trying to hack his Facebook. I'm like, it might be his daughter's birthday. And she trying his street address. She trying his birthday and she hacking all day. Sherlock Holmes. Blues Clues. She got the magnifying glass on the collar of his shirt. She round with the fingerprint dust on his car door. She dusting everything. She looking. She digging through his drawers, looking for open condom wrappers. You know, I'm used to coaching women like that, so that's what I'm expecting. And she playing Blues Clues, you know, and Sherlock Holmes. And then she come back, find, what's this piece of hair? And like, what you talking about? That's your hair. And this is not my hair. And so that's what I'm used to seeing. And then I have my wife and I say, babe, why you like that? And she said to me, she said, because if you cheat on me, you stupid. She said, I know who I am and I know what I bring to the table. I don't have to chase you and I don't have to watch your every move, because if you do something, it's eventually going to come out. And when it comes out, I'm leaving. And you're going to be paying alimony and child support and spousal support. I say, wow. So because she's not chasing me, it makes me be attentive to her. Because see, if what you chase runs. So if you always sweating a man, he just learned how to cheat better. He learned how to cheat better. I had one client hired me, and her man had got an app on his phone that looked like a calculator. But when you go to touching the numbers, it opens up to a phone book, and names come up. And the app opens up, and then you can text and call from inside the app. But when they text you, it stays in the app. So he just learned how to cheat better. You see what I'm saying? So you playing Sherlock Holmes is not going to help you find anything, because he just going to know how to be one step ahead of you. But see, on the flip side, when you're not paying him attention, and you've already warned him and you've let him know, you've let your partner know, look, you cheat, I'm gone. I'm gonna tell you like this, I'm gone. 100% out of here. And this is what I'm asking for in spousal support. And he already knows now you've given your partner enough rope to help themselves or to hang themselves. And they already know. And if your track record shows that you don't play games, then they know not to try you. If it doesn't show that, then you need to make an example one time so that they know that now you loving yourself. Now you on something new. And so that trust, what it does is it builds the relationship, because when you're not chasing and monitoring your partner, it makes them wonder, what are you doing? So then they want to give you attention. So neither one of us chasing after one another, but what we find is us always reaching out. I love you, I miss you. And when we home, we in each other's face. And if even from work and she's sitting beside me and she looking at stuff online and we spending time together, and we may learn how to bond just off of having that trust. So you have the communication and then you have the trust. But see, these are all things that we've gotten wrong in our relationships. And we take and we accuse our partner of doing things that they have never done, never thought about doing. And it's our guilty conscience that makes us even ask that, or it's our pain point that we never healed from. We're doing a Q&A tonight. So tonight, what I want you to start to think about, this is what I want you to grasp, and I want you to grab this. I want you to wrap your mind around this, and I want you to begin to understand that love changes everything. That when you start to really love yourself, what loving yourself means is that you look yourself in the mirror and you ask yourself, what things do I need to change? What things do I need to work on? And you make that list of things you need to work on. I need to lose me 5 pounds. I want to lose me 5 pounds, so then I realize that's what I got to do. The next thing I say, I need to eat better. I need to stop eating fried chicken. I need to stop drinking so many sodas. Next thing I say, I need to become more organized. And so I look at what I need to do in my life, how I need to love myself, how I need to invest in myself. And then I make a plan to do those things. That's loving yourself. I make that plan. So after I've addressed myself, then I set standards for my life. I'm not going to let a person use me. If I catch a person lying, that's the last time we talking. Catch a person cheating, that's the last time we talking. Nobody's riding off my coattail. It's not long enough. Anybody that's trying to get to the top, they got to climb beside me, not on my back. And I set these standards, and I become the CEO of my life. You have to evaluate every single person in your life, then promote, demote, or terminate. Because you are the CEO of your life. I got to cut my blood sister off 3 times a year. 3 times a year, I got to cut her off, stop answering phone calls, because the energy she brings to my life. After cutting her off so many times, she didn't give me no problems now. She do not give me any problems. She just peaceful, because she know if she crossed that line, I'm going to treat her like a ghost. And see, I had to get to that point to where I love myself. So when you do that, guess what? You attract new things. So if you look and you change that thing that you know you need to change, something new gonna happen. You're gonna get a new result. The next thing you have to do is, when you understand this love, understand that if you're in a relationship, it's never perfect and you always have to work. But what love is being selfless. Love is selfless. Love is loving your partner the way that they deserve to be loved, the way that they need to be loved, but also requiring that they love you the way you need to be loved. See, love stands and fights and gets stronger, but you have to love yourself more than you love anybody else. Because you're supposed to love your neighbor as you love yourself, not instead of yourself. Because if you don't love yourself, then you will not be able to demand love, and you will not know how to accept love. But when you love yourself, you demand it and you accept it. Love also means loving yourself enough to be able to walk away. Just because you walk away from something doesn't mean that you don't love them. What it means is that they're not loving you back. And your presence sanctions the environment. So by you leaving, you send a message that you have to love me if you want to keep me. Don't ever stop loving yourself. When you get to the point that you are okay and that you are willing to be alone, that's when you find the greatest love of all your life. Because you no longer operate from a place of desperation. Because desperation is a weak disposition and it produces weak results. For your singles, when you become 100% happy single, that's when you're ready for a relationship. Because that means that you're whole. And when you're whole, you're independent, but you're mature enough to become interdependent. So when you look at the maturity continuum, you go from dependent to interdependent, from dependent to independent to interdependent. You have to be ready to become interdependent. So I want to leave with you today. Evaluate your life. Evaluate the people in your life. Set new standards for your life. Set new standards for the people in your life. Be willing to cut some people off. Because see, you can walk with turkeys or you can soar like an eagle. Turkey on the dinner plate every day. You ain't never sat down to a plate of eagle. See, I decided to be an eagle because you can't touch them. They're going extinct. But if we become eagles and we attract other eagles and we reproduce, we're changing the world. So see yourself as an eagle and start to soar on new heights and stop letting people hold you back and hold you down. Love yourself, respect yourself, lead with love, live in love. Live, love, laugh, learn, be whole, be complete. And the bottom line is stop settling. I thank y'all so much. God bless you.
So we're going to take a 10-minute break. And again, those of you that may have questions, if you'd rather put them on the index cards, write them out, we'll collect them, and then we'll read them, and he will answer after. Or if you prefer to do the live question, then we'll do it that way. So we're going to have a 10-minute break. Give your cards to any one of the people at the door.